Good evening and welcome to the Silicon Valley Entrepreneur, a series of conversations with startup founders and the investors who fund them. This evening I'm delighted to have with me two of the winners from our recent Launch Silicon Valley event. First of all, Peter Wong, Chief Operating Officer from TruTag Technologies, and Marc Douglas of SteelHouse.
Okay.
So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for taking the time to come along. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having us.
So let me start, we said, with you, Marc. Tell us a little bit about SteelHouse and how the idea came about to start the company.
The idea came about 2 years ago. I was working at eHarmony as VP of Technology there, and amazing marketing organization, and kind of witnessing how effective they were. And the idea was to kind of take personalities and what we were doing in terms of understanding people's personality and apply it to shopping. And so that's kind of where the idea came from, and we kind of went with it and ran with it.
Tell us a bit more about it. You're applying personality to shopping. How do you do that?
Well, if you go on an e-commerce site, anywhere you shop on the internet, right? They put a lot of effort into trying to understand you to get you there. But once you arrive, everything that you're offered, every incentive that you're given and things like that are just given to you the same. Like everyone's treated the same. So you have 1 million people go on this site over the course of a month, but everyone's not the same. Everyone has different personalities, different behavior, different actions. And what we do is we give those sites insight into that and then allow them to act on it to offer you the best incentive possible that's going to get you the purchase.
So if I go to a website, how do you find out about my personality? I'm just cruising around the site.
Well, let's say you go on a site and you only look at products at the top 10% of the price point of the site. Like, I can immediately assume you're a premium shopper. Like you only want to buy the highest priced goods, which means I probably don't need to offer you a discount in order to get you to buy. Or let's say you're on the site and you put $300 worth of products in your shopping cart, but you abandon on the shipping page, and you've done that 2 times in the last month or 2 times in the last month, then it's starting to give me an indication that you're what we've referred to as a free shipping hunter. You won't buy unless the shipping is free. And so those are simple examples, but there are a lot more of them, but kind of the behavior you exhibit kind of gives us an indication of who you are as a shopper. And to a certain extent, what we're doing is like a Vegas comp system for shopping. We're watching your behavior as a shopper, and based in a much more sophisticated manner than a Vegas casino is, which are just watching how much you're betting, but based on that, then determining what incentives to offer you that are essentially going to work for you to make that purchase.
So you're collecting a massive amount of data on people.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, right now we're adding 1.2 million shoppers a day onto our system per day, and collecting. Each shopper is generally looking at about 8 pages every time they hit one of our customer sites. Same across every site, so it adds up to a lot of data, and we kind of built technology to kind of be able to go through that, identify. We don't know you as an individual, meaning we don't know your name. You're an anonymous shopper on that site, but we can tell from your behavior there and possibly other sites you might be shopping on, and start to form a picture of what works for you as a shopper on any of those sites.
And so what do? You've got this massive amount of data. I mean, first of all, it's unintelligible data. How do you turn that into something useful, and how do you apply it to, do you apply it to me personally, or do you apply it to groups?
A little bit of both. So in order to turn it into something useful, so we built a search engine, but it's not a search engine like a Google. It's to allow the marketer to kind of go in and search marketing data, to say, I want to know everyone that came to my site in the last 5 days, visited 2 or more times, looked at products worth over $500, put $200 in a shopping cart, but didn't buy, because that person, that's someone I want to make an offer to. That's going to get them to purchase. A really good example is in January, I was in market to buy high-def television. Went to the same site 4 times in 2 weeks, looking at the exact same product over and over again, hoping the price was going to go down. Post-holiday, price never went down, but I never got offered it was like a $2,500 television, never got offered anything. If I had gone into the store and 4 times in 2 weeks and looking at the same television, at some point someone in that store would have came over and said, what's it going to take to get you to buy this?
Right.
But when you're online, they don't have. Ironically, there's less. You're on the site, but the people who manage that site, they can't see you, so they don't really know what's happening. And so we're giving them the tools to now be able to kind of see that, and then be able to basically create audiences that they then want to make offers to.
Okay. This is scary and interesting all at the same time.
It's completely, the thing is about most people think about privacy. If you go into the local Starbucks and you buy something from them, that person and you do that every day, that person sees you, they know who you are, they know your buying behavior. You're actually giving up your identity to them. You don't think of it that way, but you are. If you go online, I have absolutely no idea who you are. I have no way of knowing I just have nothing. You're way more anonymous online than you are in just common everyday things you do. You're giving the same information. All you're doing, it's if you go walking through Nordstrom's, or you go walking through a website, you're offering the same information. It's just this idea that that's being recorded gives people a little bit of angst, but it's completely anonymous, and it really actually is about the same level. It's just you can do things a lot more sophisticated using web technology than you can trying to do it inside of a store.
Definitely come back to you. Let's give Peter an opportunity here to tell us a little bit about TruTag, which is also about data and data collection, but in a very different application area. So.
Yeah, very, very. So, we've developed basically a micro-tagging technology platform that we can use to track high-value items. For example, one market we're focusing on is pharmaceuticals, tablets and capsules.
Now, what do you mean by a micro-tag? You brought some with you, I think.
Yeah, so, we make these really tiny particles. It looks like it's actually smaller than salt or sugar. It's the kind of stuff you'd see in those egg timer hourglasses that you might see in a kitchen, and it's really small pieces of silica. Each one's about the width of a human hair. It's really at the limit of unaided vision.
And how many have you got in there?
So this is about a gram's worth, and it's about 12 million.
12 million
right.
microtags in there.
And each of these little particles are sort of they have a particular code associated with this.
They're all uniquely coded?
This batch has the same code on every single particle.
Okay.
And so what we do is we're able to use this magic dust, if you will. Silica is edible. People may not know that, but it's categorized as a GRAS material. That's GRAS, which means generally recognized as safe by the FDA.
Okay.
And it's been an ingredient in food and drug for decades. It's in common things like Advil. It's in a lot of pharmaceuticals as a flow agent because as it flows nicely through that little egg timer in your kitchen, as it slides along, it does the same thing for the ingredients in a pill or sort of powder form. So it allows the powdered materials to not cake up. So it's in a lot of ingredients in a lot of food, including Taco Bell meat has silica. Go figure.
Okay.
And so what we've done is we use this in the sort of tablet scenario to mix it into the coating, if you will. So we've done a test with a nutraceutical partner of ours where you kind of put a pinch of sugar, if you will, into the frosting mix, like a big vat of tablet coating mix, which gets pumped into what it's called a pan coater, but it looks like a clothes dryer well, where the pill cores kind of tumble for maybe the course of an hour and a half. And this fine mist of tablet coating gets sprayed onto these pill cores, including the mist is carrying these tags. And so these tags get coated kind of like a sugar donut around this pill core, and the ones at the surface we're able to read and sort of basically bounce some white light off the surface of the tag on the pill, read it, and basically associate that unique code, of which we can make up to 1 trillion different codes, associate that one particular code with fields of information that a pharmaceutical maker might want to associate with that batch of pills.
Why do we need to do that?
Well, it's if you think of it as an edible barcode right on the surface of a pill,
Okay.
it can be used for all sorts of authentication and verification and tracking. And one of the reasons why pharmaceutical companies would want to do that is that there is surprisingly a huge counterfeit drug problem out there. The global drug market is probably $800 billion a year, and there's a very well-produced IBM commercial that estimates the counterfeit market at about 10% of that market. So it's an $80 billion problem according to that ad, and for decades, counterfeiters are very clever, and they've been able to beat all sorts of sort of countermeasures that the pharmaceutical companies have put in, which are all essentially at the packaging level. And they've been able to beat them and defeat it, and build this massive counterfeit drug market.
So who and how did the idea of doing this come up, and who came up with the idea?
Well, so at TruTag, we're part of a incubator. We call it a venture accelerator that's located in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Right.
And it focuses on life sciences. And one of the first technologies that was developed at this accelerator called Sky Technologies, Sky Ventures, was an artificial cornea. And so in focusing on the eye and helping to, for technologies related to eye care, they were looking at these little silica particles as kind of drug delivery mechanisms. So these little particles with holes in it would be sort of coated with drugs, and as it eluted out, you could shine through the eye and see, as the spectrum changes, how much drug's left. And it was an interesting sort of research that our team was looking at, but realized, this is not a huge market. But if those little particles are ingestible and edible, what if you put them on the coating of a tablet and used it as sort of an edible barcode? And that's really where the idea kind of, from one application, moved to another, and then we started to develop our technology platform around that concept.
Right. So one application of a technology for application A, not so suitable there, but application B, which is very different,
Right.
it seems to have taken off.
Yeah.
Wow, really interesting, that one. Okay, we'll definitely come back to you and dig some more into that.
That's pretty interesting.
So that is really interesting. So
Yeah.
back on the Marc, how did you, so you came up with the idea for doing this, and you saw this at eHarmony as a way to do it. How did you pull together a team?
Well, I have been fortunate to be involved in a number of startups, and I generally make friends, not enemies. And so I had, people I'd worked with in the past. More than half of the management team in the company are people I've worked with at one or more jobs previously, and a good portion of the team. So that actually for me was not the hardest part. I immediately knew who to call and pitch. Yeah, when I first was starting the company, I didn't know that they would think what I wanted to do was a good idea. So, but once they did think it was a good idea, then we were able to put together a team pretty quickly.
Okay.
And so that although we're located in Los Angeles, in LA, the talent pool is not nearly as rich as it is here, but it's getting there. So,
but nevertheless, it's something that is relevant to any entrepreneur starting out. You were able to go to people that you already knew and trusted that they could do stuff that you wanted done.
Yeah, I mean the key in any startup is just having the right people. There's no doubt. I mean, nothing else is more important. It's actually more important than the idea. As evidence right here, right? Because then you can change the idea and apply someplace else if you have the right people.
And the team can move with it and still make it happen.
Exactly. And so so I wouldn't say it's like, well, if you have a good group of friends, then you can do a company. It has to be a good group of folks that hopefully have experience building startups, building companies, have applicable experience. Athletes are better, meaning people are better than specialists, because what everyone's doing in the company a year from now is very likely to be different than it is now. So it's better to just have really smart, people that can, using that analogy, that can play any position. So I knew people from previous startups, and they were all, just about anyone who I thought was a good fit. Fortunately, they were excited about the idea also. And so we were able to put it together pretty quickly.
And they knew you and they trusted you too.
Yeah, which is great. It's also a burden, because they're like committing multiple years of their professional career to the idea that we're going to build something, which is, some mornings is kind of like, it's more responsibility than you want, but I think I can handle it.
Okay. Now, you did something very brave at Launch Silicon Valley, which is something that not all entrepreneurs do. You brought up your website live, and you showed people live how the data you collected could actually be turned into useful information on the fly. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we think our product is one where you have to really see it. I could describe it to you for quite a while, but if I show it to you within a minute, you'll really get it. And you can't fake that, or the fake is not the right word. You can't pretend. Like so we always demo live, and show the speed, and show how it can be applied. And if it did, it's like that other analogy is that's the team that got you there.
Right.
That's the team you're gonna put on the field. Well, that's the product that got us there. So that's what we're gonna show it. We're not gonna be not going to be afraid.
And if you're putting, what, 1.5 million?
1.2 million people a day are added onto it.
1.2 million a day. So you've got customers, you're growing.
Yeah.
Where actually is the business now?
It's growing pretty nicely. So we have a bunch of customers. We're approaching 200 e-commerce sites now, and we're adding about 20 a month. And
wow, that's pretty impressive.
So sales team is working very hard, and we're in that cycle right now where there's not a lot of friction, where people are excited about what we're doing. So it's kind of like that in startups. There's the old thing, well, the dogs eat the dog food. Well, that's happening.
Right.
But then we have to deliver. So it's more the pressure now is on living up to what we're showing people, and producing the return that they want to see. And so we think it is, but we're putting a ton of effort into just making sure it really lives up to full potential. So it's an exciting time for us right now.
So Peter, coming back to you.
Sure.
Okay, you guys are a little bit remote in Hawaii there. You've got great technology. You've found an application for it that really sounds very useful and very interesting, the type of thing that the pharmaceutical industry, maybe the cosmetics industry also, would want to get their hands on. What's happening with the company now?
Well, so we're at that point where it really is a technology platform, and we've gotten good interest from a variety of players in different markets. And so while we've kind of started to focus on pharmaceuticals, we've got interest from other market verticals as well, as they've seen some of our sort of our PR and the articles that are out there on the internet about us, and so we're at that stage where we're trying to really our technology ready for some early customer partners to develop this, because initially, because the technology is going to be suited for various applications, it will depend on which market and what specific type of application the technology is first applied to. So we're sort of working with a bunch of different companies to test a number of different application models.
Okay. So it's in the test mode at the moment.
That's
being
right.
applied
That's right.
out. Okay.
That's right.
And what do you envisage will happen when you get the call to deliver production volumes of stuff? Is it something you can still do from the facility you have in Hawaii, or do you need to go and build a different level of capability?
It will depend on what the specific application will be. I think we're making our microtags right now in a facility in Hawaii, but we do have some engineers located up here in the Bay Area. There's a lot of talent up here in the Bay Area, and so So it will depend on what our customer needs are. There's a lot of interest from Asia, and maybe possible that we may have to have a manufacturing location in Asia, which is closer to our customers, where there's a lot of pharmaceutical manufacturers, say in Singapore and places like China and India. So we're still fairly nimble in terms of where we would be located, because our manufacturing facility is not like a factory, it's more like a lab, because we're making very small stuff, and we don't need large sets of equipment or a large manufacturing site to make our products.
Okay, so I was wondering about that, because this is obviously a semiconductor type sort of product, and a semiconductor fab these days for the latest stuff is more than $1 billion.
Right, yeah. We're nothing close to that.
Okay, tell us more about the size.
Basically, what we do is we start from silicon wafers. It's kind of similar to what you see here down in the valley, and then through a specific proprietary process, we're able to sort of create these tiny holes, this tiny pattern into the silicon, bake it, turn it into silica, break it down into very small particles. And so that's not a big facility. We it's really, like I said, more like a lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you pull together a team to be able to work on this? Are they all based in Hawaii, or are they?
A lot of our scientists were originally in Hawaii, and because it is a small community, much smaller than Los Angeles in terms of entrepreneurs and technology folks, but with the help of our incubator, Sky Ventures, we've really been able to draw a bunch of different technologies to really cross-pollinate, with some areas of expertise to really advance the technology. And then as we grow, like we're developing the hardware reader and the software that goes with it, that's you have a lot of people with a lot of expertise up here in Silicon Valley, Northern California, and so we're starting to build up our team up here, because that's where the talent is for that aspect of the system.
Why is TruTag superior to other options out there for the pharmaceutical industry?
Well, for what we call in the pharmaceutical industry on-dose authentication, we believe that we have the best technology because of the ability to really associate with information. So as I said, because we can make 1 trillion different unique codes, it's like a traditional barcode, this big set of labels that you can associate with a set of information. So if a big pharma company wants to track, let's say they make 100 lots of a particular product in a year, and not only do they make 100 lots, but then they send it to different distributors, different customers for different countries. You could take, we could give them literally, 1 million codes if we want to, and they can associate with a sub lot or a sub batch of drug product to say that product name, strength, expiration date, country of the authorized sale, shipment data, whatever they want to use it for. And so because you can modularize this information, it's a really powerful business tool, not just for anti-counterfeiting, but quality control, returns monitoring. If you even think about it in the clinical trial setting, a blinded trial where like a placebo and an active is designed to look identical, a lot of that kind of functionality is outsourced and offshored, and often handled by fairly low-paid workers. And if there's a mix-up, and you switch the two batches, you have billions of dollars of R&D investment at risk. So you can use it for tracking at that level as well.
And you literally can't do that, because, as you're saying, it's not like a barcode on a bottle that can be mixed up.
Right.
It's on the device. It's on the pill itself.
It's not on the package. It's on the product itself.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, back to you, Marc. What makes your product, which is equally sort of, I do
people to spend more money.
Yeah,
not quite per se.
I was going to say it's an equally fascinating product, and I do remember the audience's reaction when you were able to show things live.
Yeah.
What makes what you do different from the other alternatives out there?
The big thing is it's completely real time. So, and I think that's when we show the product, the level of visibility that we give. The example I gave in terms of someone going and looking at the same product over and over again, trying to find the right price and things like that. That visibility just doesn't exist, and we not only provide it, we provide it like right this second. So if one of the things going into the Christmas season right now, our business is growing really nicely in terms of adding new customers. And one of the reasons why is because no one wants to, if it's the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday as they call it, and you're running 10%, it's 10:30 in the morning, you're running 10% behind your forecast. Sorry, 1:30 on the East Coast. You want to make a change right now.
Right.
And you don't want to report 3 days later. That even tells
you got to do it now.
Yeah, you got to do it right now.
Yeah.
You want to be able to act on it right now. And we're providing both real-time analytics and the ability to put offers in front of those shoppers this very second without any change to your website. So we're adding to your website with our platform, but you don't have to go wake up some engineers on day after Thanksgiving to get them to make modifications. So that it just fits with the whole real-time world that we're increasingly living in, and shopping is no different. People, as they're shopping, if you're going to incent them, you need to do it. You need to know to do it, and you need to make it happen right now. And I think that's what strikes everyone about what we do is it's so immediate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very quick, because we are running out of time. We've got about a minute left.
Sure.
So 30 seconds. Any insights for entrepreneurs who are watching the show?
For me, it's what I said before. Whatever you do, make it organic, meaning don't force it. The idea should come to you, and find the right people. That's so critical. Both of those things are so critical.
Peter?
I would agree. I mean, it's really all about the people. When you're in an entrepreneurial environment, you're going to spend a lot of time with people. You want to work with people who are open-minded and flexible and adaptable and able to sort of think your way through the many, I think as they said at launch, the many near-death experiences that your organization's going to have in its life. So being able to sort of think your way through those problems and calmly and as a team is really important. So it's all about the people. I totally agree.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much for your time. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. So Peter and Marc, thank you again. And it's good night from me, Chris Gill, and I hope to see you again next month. So terrific, guys. Thank you.